Theme song for the Sober Curator.
A tub thumping, Chubbawamba, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You ain't never going to keep me down.
One song that came to mind for me was Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now. I mean, it is kind of suitable, don't you think?
I mean, as a retired blackout artist, I feel you on that one, Tamar. That was good. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I just had to throw that in.
Welcome to the Sober Curator podcast, where sobriety isn't just a lifestyle choice, it's the ultimate life hack. I'm Alysse Bryson, your fearless guide to a world where hangovers are canceled, fun is mandatory, and we still know how to shut down a dance floor, just with better shoes.
And I'm Tamar Routley, aka T-Bouge, your co-pilot, chaos coordinator, and the one who keeps Alysse from turning this podcast into a full-blown reality show. Buckle up, sober party people.
From lifestyle and travel to pop culture and zero-proof cocktails, we're serving up the stories, trends, and guests that prove sobriety isn't just about what you're missing. It's about finally remembering where you left your keys. Let's get the party started.
Have I mentioned how great you sound today, Alysse?
Tamar, oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
Okay, let's
that's
talk
the vibe.
about this.
That's the
talk
vibe
about
I'm bringing
this.
today.
And you are bringing it. I mean, for those watching, do you care to do a little spin around?
Oh, do I care? First of all, this episode is not brought to you by 7-Eleven, but it could be. 7-Eleven, call me. Look at this. Look at this and the
retro
bowling shirt, right? The bowling shirt. And then I'm just going to do a little spin. Kind of hard. Hold on. I'll take my headphones off so you can see it.
Okay. Thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
Oh, thank heaven. It's 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven got me out of a lot of binds when I was younger.
I love a Slurpee. Actually, do you know what I just bought? Because my no spin challenge ended, right? So weirdly, I've been a little bit, impulsive in the last 2 months in excitement after going basically a year of no shopping. And I was at Home Goods, which is like my kryptonite, right? Like it literally, I cannot drive by a Home Goods and not go in. And I was in there a couple weeks ago, and they had this huge basket that is shaped like a vanilla soft serve cone. Now, was I in the need for a basket? No, I was not. But you can always find a reason for a basket because you just put stuff in it. And we all know I love stuff.
Yeah. So
I now have this, and it's tall. It's like not as tall as me, but it probably goes up to my waist. And I'm 5'4". So, I mean, it's tall, right? Let's call it 3 feet. We'll call it 3 feet. Do you like how I said my waist? My waist, my legs are not 3 feet, to be clear. I now am storing dog toys in it because Bella doesn't play with them. And Roxy, unfortunately, may she rest in peace, is gone. And she was the one that played with the toys. So I put all the dog toys that were in a bunch of different baskets. I consolidated into this one vanilla soft serve basket.
From the many things you've bought, you have a lot of, I love the word tchotchkes, right? I think we're going to end this show with you sharing a little story about one of your tchotchkes.
My tchotchke of the week?
Your tchotchke of the week. I think that'll be a good segment. I think it'll fly.
Yeah.
Well, you're not here to listen to us just talk about random things that we're buying when we're not.
I don't know that my gas station chic is random. Like, it's very intentional, this outfit.
That is true. That is true. Okay, well, you're not here to listen to us about buying things today.
Oh, true. That's true. That's
here...
not what this podcast is about.
We are actually here because this is episode 1.
I know. What is happening?
Alysse has a podcast. I mean, how cool is that? And I get to be your host today, T-Bouge.
Who are you? T-Bouge.
T-Bouge, although that name is still in beta testing. We don't even quite know how to spell it, actually. So if you could write into us, we'd appreciate that. Yeah.
Short for bougie, to be clear.
And that's because of my Adidas shoes and my wonderful taste in music. At least that's what our 20-year-olds think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this is about as bougie as I get. I would say you're pretty bougie, Alysse. Like you're
I'm
kind
bougie.
of like
I got some bougie in my blood for sure.
you're fancy.
Sure.
You're fancy. Well, I'm super pumped today because we're talking to Alysse Bryson, who is the mastermind behind this whole thing. Or would you call yourself a mastermind?
I think mad scientist would be a little bit more in alignment with reality.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I love that we are recording a video podcast because, like, you guys, this kind of feels like my own version of a reality TV show. And we all know that I'm here for the reality TV. And so I really thought, because, we've been talking about this for over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people were writing in wanting to come on the podcast that we didn't have. I was like, I think the universe wants us to have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so in thinking about it and knowing we wanted to do video, I was like, oh man, that means I'm going to have to like do hair and makeup every time before we record. And then I was like, no, I don't. Because Pamela Anderson has made it cool to not wear makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So I can throw a little lip gloss on and call it a day. So thank you, Pam. Thank you.
Right. I know, and you look good. You just have to look good from the waist up, really.
It's pretty much pandemic attire here.
Yeah. It is the beauty about the pandemic. Now, a quick thing before we get into this episode is that, we just celebrated our, 3-year friendiversary?
3-year friendiversary according to Meta.
Yeah. And I remember reaching out to you because we have mutual friends that introduced us because you were a guest in my little recovery. What would you call that?
It was a summit?
It was a summit. Yeah. The first summit I had ever created. Mm-hmm. And you were a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember our first conversation was about the Goonies. And
never say die. They never say die.
Our shared love of the Goonies.
I love that movie.
And you will get to see this when it happens. We are going to rent some BMX bikes, go down to Astoria, and ride down the hill to Good Enough by Cyndi Lauper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to do that. I'm going to flex a little bit.
Away.
I am actually an honorary Goonie. And let me tell you why. So years back, I think it was when season 2 of Stranger Things, they were doing PR for that show. Mm-hmm. And at the time I was working for a local television station in Seattle, and we had a morning talk show. And so we would end up getting lots of cool celebrity guests that would come through town on these press tours. And lo and behold, Sean Astin is in season 2 of Stranger Things. And so when I found out, when I was reading the notes, because you can see the editorial calendar of like who's going to be on the show and, the coming weeks or whatever. Mm-hmm. So the second that I saw that Sean Astin was going to be on the show, I was like, I'm available. I'm available. I can do anything. I can hold a light. I can put powder on people. Just put me in, coach. And they were like, no, we don't actually need you to do anything, Alysse, but you can stand in the background. I was like, yes. And so they had the interview. And then when the interview was over, there were a few of us standing around. And of course, I start babbling on about my affinity for pop culture, specifically Goonies. There was one summer where I literally watched it every day. It was my best friend Renee at the time. She was my neighbor, and we made a commitment to watching it every day. And this was a real commitment because this is back in VHS days, which meant be kind, please rewind. Like, it was very important that you rewound it when you were over, so that the next day it could just start. So I have seen that movie over 100 times. I have been to Astoria and Cannon Beach many, 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 many times. I love the Goonies. I don't know how I feel about a sequel. I'm open. I'm super open, but I love the original. And so Sean Astin, he made me an honorary Goonie, and I don't have a badge. I carry it on the inside. But, in recovery, a lot of things about me changed. And one of them is that I tell the truth now, or I try to as much as possible. Sometimes those little lies, they still sneak out.
Hard.
They still sneak out, but I try to. And so with much pride and obviously enthusiasm, I just want everyone to know I'm a Goonie.
I mean, there's so much pop culture right there. And we wonder why you started the Sober Curator. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, people.
Well, I wanted to prove sobriety is cool, and I also needed to justify my Funko Pop collection. and make it like a tax write-off. So yeah.
And we could do a whole other segment. We could actually probably do a full season of podcast episodes on your Funko collection.
Yes, I have quite an extensive collection. I started just by collecting the lady Funkos, and then when they came out with the whole Friends cast, I had to include the fellas, and so then that kind of cracked it open to, well, okay, maybe I don't need to be total. I need to be inclusive. Mm-hmm. My Funko collection should be inclusive. So yes, I've been collecting for many, many, many years.
And all the sober contributors we all have Funkos, most of us.
Yes, custom Funkos. Yes, there is a certain amount of content you have to contribute to the site before you earn your custom Funko.
Yeah.
But once you're in the club, you're in the club. Okay, so Funko is headquartered in Everett. I think that they are actually in the process of relocating their headquarters to Arizona, but that's a talk for another day. So they've been located in Everett, which is north of Seattle, and they have their headquarters, and then they have a brick and mortar retail shop there. Mm-hmm. And for a very long time, you could go to that location and make a custom Funko. I think the only other location in the United States you could do that was in Hollywood. And so when I launched the Sober Curator, probably about a year in, and started curating and collecting all these people that wanted to contribute to the site, I was like, man, there's no way that we're going to be able to make all of our headshots look cohesive or even do a group picture, because we're scattered all over the country. And some of us are even in different countries, like yourself.
Like myself.
And I was like, how am I going to make us all look uniform and also give off pop culture vibes? And then I was like, pop culture, Funko pop culture. And that's when I realized I could go and I could make custom Funkos for every contributor. And so when I started, I actually had to drive up to the Everett location, which was a little bit of a drive, and they would only allow you to make 3 custom Funkos per person per visit.
Yeah.
So I would kindly ask friends and family to go with me because I needed the head count, because I was buying custom Funkos kind of in mass quantity. But thankfully, they finally saw the demand, and you can go to the Funko website. You can make your own custom Funko. There's a lot of different outfits and accessories to choose from. I personally, Funko, if you're listening, I would love it if I could just buy accessories and not have to buy a new doll every single time, because I would love some options for outfit changes, hair changes, etc. I also have some ideas on some other lines that you should launch. So you should probably return my email. But yeah, I'm a big fan.
So if you want to check them out, they're all over the site. But let's take it back, Alysse, because you have an amazing background in media and marketing. You've been doing this thing for a long time. What was that moment that you finally thought, like, I need to create something like the Sober Curator?
I got sober in 2006. I was hanging out with Tom on MySpace. I don't think I was on Facebook yet. And that's what was happening in the land of social media when I got sober. And I grew up in the anonymity group. And so I was not putting anything about my recovery or sobriety on the internet. And I did not until I launched the Sober Curator in 2020. And at that time, I was 15 years sober. And so I've been in traditional media my entire adult career. I've worked for newspapers. I've run a magazine. I've worked at a TV station. And in all of those places, my career has revolved around lifestyle content. And obviously, I've been an early adopter to all things digital and social media over the years. So as a person in recovery, I kind of had this front row seat to see all this content come online. Because in 2006, not only was there no social media and no podcasts, there were very limited books. If you went to Barnes and Noble, the section was actually quite small. And I didn't ever usually find something in there that I wanted to pick up. I mean, I bought them all, but there wasn't a lot there that I identified with. And then I got sober and I built new community and my career took off and I was living my life. So I was not paying attention to what was happening around sobriety and recovery online. I didn't really pay any attention to it till maybe, 2016, 2017, I started to see some things popping up on social media. I started to see more books coming out. Podcasts were becoming more part of our consumption culture. And I was like, that's interesting. That's interesting. Now, and I think like, what was it? Quit Like a Woman came out in 2019. Now, respectfully, I quit in 2006. So I don't need to read the book. Like I'd done it a decade before. Right. But I was kind of looking for a place where all this content is coming out, but who's the authority to tell me what's worth my time and what's not worth my time? Or at least give me enough information that I can make my own decision. And so I started Googling Lifestyle Sober magazine, because as a magazine publisher for nearly a decade, like that was very interesting to me. And I couldn't find what I was looking for. There were some magazines out there, even printed glossy ones, but they were essentially direct mail pieces for treatment centers. And I'm not against treatment centers. I went to one. All the cool kids go to rehab. They do. But that doesn't speak to me as a woman in long-term sobriety, which I identify long-term or consider long-term anything over 10 years. And so I was like, because I don't need to see the treatment center ads. Although I would honestly love to go to 28 days of rehab now, like as a sober woman. Like, so if somebody could figure that out, that would be really cool. And I don't need to read the articles on how to navigate my first date sober, or my first wedding sober, or my first holiday sober. Like I've already done all of that and gotten all the t-shirts, but I do still have problems and I do still have challenges. And the longer you stay sober, it doesn't get easier, but it does get less hard. And as you know, we like to say at Work P2P, which is the company that Tamar and I work for, classy problems, right? The longer we stay sober, the classier our problems get. And so I couldn't find what I was looking for. And then in 2018, Lisa, who's also a contributor, her and I worked for the same TV station conglomerate. She was in Dallas, I was in Seattle, and we took a road trip to Marfa, the middle of nowhere, Texas. It is an Instagrammer's heaven. It is where there's a Prada store art exhibit in the middle of nowhere, literally the middle of nowhere. And it's not a real store, because I had some friends be like, oh, while you're there, can you grab me a t-shirt or a hat? And I'm like, it's not a real store. It's an art installation. But we wanted to go there because the whole town is super artsy. And so we're on this road trip and we flew into San Antonio, rented a car, and then we just drove 3 or 4 hours to the middle of nowhere, Texas. So there was a lot of time in the car. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this idea of a sober lifestyle magazine for people in long-term recovery? Like people that are like, so you're sober, now what? Like you've kind of mastered some things and you're just looking to stay motivated and inspired and entertained. And she was like, I love it. Let's do it. But then, we didn't. We would talk about it and we would throw around ideas, but we were still really busy gals on the go, always traveling, always going to events in the city. I just didn't really pause my life long enough to take any action around it. And then the pandemic happened. And I was given the gift of time, like many people that were in a work from home environment. And I am a heart survivor. I'm a cancer survivor. My adult son, who was living with me at the time, Crohn's disease. So in our house, we were being very careful. We were very much social distancing, staying in lockdown, not going anywhere, wiping our groceries down, the whole thing, right? And so a couple months in, when I realized, oh, this isn't just like 3 weeks. This is like, we're here. I was like, I can only make so much banana bread and diamond painting and dance on TikTok so many times. Like, I'm going to need to do something else. And I really wanted to look at this gift of time and be like, when I looked back, when it was all over, did I use the time well? Because I got so much time back. No getting dressed, no commuting, no going to events, no traveling. Like, I got a lot of time back.
Amazing.
It was great. And so that's when I called Lisa. I was like, hey, remember that thing we talked about a couple of years ago? Should we do it? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I took a week off work and I went down to my parents with my laptop and my dogs. And I just started like planning it out because I have run a lifestyle magazine. So I knew what a website needed to look like. I knew all the different channels that needed to be involved, whether it was drink reviews, beverage reviews, horoscopes, reviews on books and movies and podcasts and shopping and everything lifestyle. At the time, we were obviously not doing much travel because nobody was, but we just started building out these channels. I did launch the site by accident. That was fun. Oopsies. Kind of like you have to start before you're ready, right? Yeah. You just have to start. So we started, and it was myself and Lisa and my sister Stacy, who is not in sobriety or recovery, nor does she need to be, but she is a sober ally, and we love our sober allies. Yes. And then also my very good friend Sarah, her daughter Annalisa, who I had not met at the time, she had been sober for many years, and she was an astrologist, and I was very excited about sober horoscopes. Very excited. So we just started, and I built it on WordPress and put up some social media channels and just started making as much content as we could between the four of us, and then put something on the site like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. If you want to be part of this project, slide into our DMs. We'd love to have you.
I wanted to ask you a question, actually, because you talked about social media, right? How there wasn't a lot of stuff for us back in the day on social media. Were you sober already when Facebook came into play?
Thank God. Yes. Oh. Thank God, because I was a drunk dialer, right? People actually asked me to take them out of my phone because I would get drunk and I would want to call everybody when I would get home. So, at 3:00 in the morning. I'm actually also really glad that I was not out on social media in early recovery.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have handled that well either. And that is an episode for another time.
It is.
But with my impulsive behavior and my learning process, which is sometimes slow, I am so grateful that everything rolled out the way it rolled out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I would give little nuggets of little Easter eggs about my sobriety on social media. And I was very open about it publicly. If you met me in person and it came up in an organic way or a way I could be helpful, no problem. But I wasn't putting it on a t-shirt. I wasn't wearing it on a hat. But I would put things up like, okay, for my 5th sober anniversary, my soberthday, as I like to call it, I was in Chicago at a magazine conference, and the hotel we were staying in had a bunch of luxury shops on the first floor, and Chanel was one of them. And as a single mom, I've always been hustling. I've always been bootstrapping everything. And so I have an affinity for nice things, but my wallet has not necessarily caught up. But I thought I would splurge and buy myself a pair of Chanel earrings. It's also because it was the cheapest thing in the store. And so I put on Facebook celebrating my Chanel number 5. So like, if you knew me well, you would know what I was talking about, but the general public would not have. The people that I went to high school with would probably not know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of thought into coming out online, because once you take that genie out of the bottle, like, there's not really any going back in. And even now you can delete stuff, but it doesn't mean it's gone.
Absolutely. And I think, it's a cool part about this podcast, especially when you decide that you want to be open about it, is you can have some really cool conversations. And I think that is what a lot of people can expect from the Sober Curator podcast, is we do focus on living a sober lifestyle, not on how you got sober. But this is really about living a sober lifestyle. And we have a lot of fun. We have some serious episodes coming up, but why the podcast for you?
Well, first of all, I got tired of all the emails that would come in saying people wanted to come on a podcast I didn't have. I was just like, I don't have one. And also, do your research. Like, if I go on a podcast, I'm definitely going to listen to it before I go on it.
Yeah.
So that always struck me as weird, but we review a lot of podcasts for the site, and the space has become very crowded. And so, which is great. Great. I think there's something for everyone. The tide rises all boats. But what I think we bring to the table that I have not seen done yet, it might be out there and I just haven't come across it, is this is going to be a group effort. It is a collaborative effort, just like the site is. It's a way to bring all the content we have on the sobercurator.com to life. Many people don't realize we have almost 2,000 pieces of content on the site, and a lot of it is all reviews. So things that are not going to go out of date right?
Mm.
The book review that we did on This Naked Mind 4 years ago is still completely relevant, and it's one of the best read articles on the site.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of that kind of curation because I'm trying to build out this ultimate database archive of how addiction, recovery, sobriety shows up in media and shows up in pop culture, which I have coined sober pop culture.
Yes, you have. So what's the goal of this all, of the Sober Curator? What's the goal?
The goal is, like you said, I'm not in the business of getting anyone sober. I'm not. In my personal life, if you want to know how I got sober, I'd be happy to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I help lots of people that have those conversations with me. That's not what this is. This is about staying sober.
Mm-hmm.
Getting sober, I'm not going to say it's easy, but you can do it. But the staying sober with no days off, that is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who has almost 19 years under her belt, one day at a time, I have a real opinion on the benefits of long-term recovery, no days off, or long-term sobriety, no days off.
Yeah.
I don't care how you label yourself,
Yeah.
right? And so I do really want to create a space where people can go and find recommendations for all the great content that is out there, as well as just keep people motivated and inspired to keep going. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to have the hard days and life is still going to get super lifey. But also, I want to break the stigma around a sober life or a life in recovery being boring.
Mm-hmm.
I am the farthest thing from boring. In fact, when people
True.
meet me, they're like, you really seem like you would be a drinker. And I'm like, oh, you have no idea. Like, I was a lot of fun until I wasn't. You know the
Yeah.
kind. You know
I
the
do
kind.
know the kind. I was that kind.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We would have gotten into some trouble together, without a doubt.
Oh, I mean, every time I come down to visit you, because like you said, I'm in the great white north that isn't so white, because it's quite close to Seattle area, is I almost need a little mini vacation from visiting. Because we do have fun. We like Jurassic Park. We actually went and got matching.
The video game, to be clear, the video game.
The video game, matching tattoos.
Yep.
Right?
That was the
Tattoos.
first day we met in real life.
Yep.
It was like, what's the craziest things we can do in the next 24 hours in the first time meeting in real life? Tattoos. Let's go get them.
And we got before that, we got jacked up on a big, like a donut that was the size of my head.
Voodoo Donuts in Portland. Yeah,
Yep.
we did get very sugar jacked for sure.
Yes. Let's get back to the podcast.
Is that what we're doing here?
I know that's what we're doing. This is episode number 1. Alysse Gets a Podcast. Just to give you an idea of some of the episodes that we have coming. So I hope that you're still with us listening, and push play on the next episode. We talk about sober lifestyle. There's a little segment on colonoscopies. So if you get giddy about getting booked for a colonoscopy like we do, you're going to love that episode. And then we get a little serious, but we felt that this is relevant right now. Episode number 3 is going to be about the new Matthew Perry documentary.
Yeah.
And I think it was a fabulous recording. I think all the contributors that joined us for that one, it was serious. So I think that one's going to pull at your heartstrings for sure. And then we get to episode number 4, which is going to be sober music. So if you are someone like us that likes to sing along, but doesn't quite know what the words are, you're going to hear a couple examples by Alysse. And then we're rounding it off with Jules Griffin, Sober Swiftie.
Oh, yeah. And how cool is it that there's a whole group of Swifties that want to be sober? Like, and I'm new to being a Taylor Swift fan, I was late to jump on the Swiftie bandwagon, but I've got my bracelets, and I didn't go to the Eras tour because I'm not that committed, but I definitely watched it on Disney, and I'm a big fan of what she has done with her career and her brand, and the impact that it has, the positive impact it has on communities, especially financially. I mean, the money that pours into a city when she's in town is insane to me. And she's super generous with people that work for her too, based off everything I've read. So Jules is a super cool interview for sure.
Yeah. So after this one, I hope that you'll binge listen to all the rest. And then we have some really, really cool guests coming up and segments. So we like to do something called Sober Shots. Nobody's losing their day count here. And usually this is Alysse that will be doing it with people.
Pew, pew, pew,
Pew, pew. Cue the sound effects. So let's do this. And we're not going to do the sober sip, which is usually a 5-minute segment. We're going to do sober shots, Alysse. Okay?
I'm ready.
You think you can do it?
I'm ready. I can do it.
Sober drink of choice.
Diet Coke.
Ultimate sober hangout.
Anywhere that there's Wi-Fi and snacks.
Snacks are good.
I love snacks.
Okay, but in all serious, is that your final answer?
Oh, sober hangout. I don't know, like anywhere where I'm with friends and we can have a great conversation. As much as I love going to the movies, and yes, I'm talking about going to the movies in an actual theater. I'm a fan of that experience. It's different than in your living room. I want to be somewhere where I can be in conversation with people. Yeah. I love going to museums with my friends. I love that. Taking pictures or hunting for street art. So anything that is like an activity with my friends and family, I'm all in. And I'm all sober.
I have had that experience at a museum. We had a good time. Did lots of videos. Okay. Favorite celeb in recovery?
Robert Downey Jr. I love him. I just love him. It's definitely Robert Downey Jr. I mean, I could go on. Elton John, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Jamie Lee Curtis, Demi Moore, Drew Barrymore. Like, I can keep going. There are so many that are using their platforms for good. And I think that is such an interesting... I'm so glad to see that the space has evolved, because I also remember when we were making fun of Robert Downey Jr. for almost going to jail, or maybe he even went to jail. I don't know. Like, so I think the way that the media has treated celebrities and addiction has evolved. We still have a ways to go, but it's evolved. And there are many, many celebrities and athletes and musicians that are using the power of their platform for good.
Yeah, absolutely. Theme song for the Sober Curator.
A tub thumping, Chubbawamba, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You ain't never going to keep me down.
One song that came to mind was Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now. I mean, it is kind of suitable, don't you think?
I mean, as a retired blackout artist, I feel you on that one, Tamar. That was good. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I just had to throw that in. Well, we hope that you'll join us on this super fun roller coastery adventure called the Sober Curator podcast. It is going to be a lot of fun. And Alysse, I'm so happy for you that you got your podcast. And one day this is going to be a talk show. We've already talked about this.
I mean, I think it would be pretty great. Or, if Drew Barrymore, if you're listening, we made a video for you. We all dressed up as our favorite Drew Barrymore characters.
Yep.
So we could just go on her talk show. Like, I don't know. I want to see I love reality TV, but I want to see it used like self-help and for good, not for like tearing each other down and being mean and vicious and drunk. Like, I want to see reality TV in a different light. That's what I would like to see next.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And make sure you check out the Sober Curator site, thesobercurator.com, and make sure you subscribe, leave 5 stars. And if you hate it, just lie.
Yeah, lie. Just leave the 5 stars with some thumbs up.
Yep.
And I don't know maybe I shouldn't say anything. Should I say? Okay, so we just designed these new Sober Curator fanny packs because your girl loves a fanny pack, okay?
Yeah.
I have kind of given up on my big bag. Now, I still have all my big bags, to be clear. They'll come back in, but like, I don't need all that stuff anymore, right? I don't need all that stuff. And so we've created these really cool Sober Curator fanny packs. And listen, nobody wants to wear a logo unless it's like Gucci. Okay. Nobody wants to wear a logo. So yes, our logo is on it, but it's black on black. So it is subtle. It is classy. And the first 50 people to leave us a review on Apple, they're going to get a fanny pack from me filled with some goodies.
That's super fun.
Yeah.
Before you do your signature sign off, do you want to give us one quick tchotchke?
One quick tchotchke. Oh, I was not ready for this. But yes, okay. Oh, there's so many to choose from. How am I going to choose just one? We're going to have to do 1,000 episodes so I can show off all my junk. Okay, I'm going to start. It's going to be a Funko. It's going to be a Funko. And it is going to be the Honey Nut Cheerio Bee, because first of all, Honey Nut Cheerios, it's good for your heart health. And as a heart survivor, I'm just going to always plug that, know the signs. 1 in 3 women will be affected by a cardiovascular episode in their lifetime. 1 in 3 women. So just keep that in mind. But why am I holding up this Funko Bee? And if you can't see this, I'm so sorry. This is why you should watch us on video.
Yeah.
We have a scoring system on the website called the Sobies. And we rank things on 1 to 5 Bs. 5 Bs being the bee's knees. It's the best thing that's ever been put out. And eventually I want to have an actual award show like the Grammys or the Oscars, but it's going to be called the Sobies, celebrating recovery without the buzz. So you got to keep hanging out with us so you can see how all this comes together and evolves, because it's not going to be boring. It's going to be super fun.
Yes, it is. You want to take us off with your signature sign off?
Oh, I'm not.
You got this. You can do this.
Okay. I feel like I need to stretch.
Just do a little
something.
stretch. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Alysse Bryson, and this has been the first episode of the Sober Curator podcast. And as we like to say, getting sober matters. Staying sober matters more. Keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober. Thanks for tuning in, because let's be real, we're way more fun than your ex's drunk texts.
If you laughed, learned, or just need more of our voices in your life, honestly, who wouldn't? Hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and send this episode to your sober or your I swear I'm only drinking on the weekends besties.
And if you have a story, feedback, or hey, maybe you just want to slide into our DMs like it's 2012, well, we're here for it. Find more curated magic at thesobercurator.com. And remember, getting sober matters, staying sober matters more. Until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober.